Hello investors, I'm Stuart Kruse and welcome to Kruse Asset Management's Momentum Wednesday to get you over that midweek hump. We're going to give you some momentum stocks to help you on your way. And we're going to approach momentum in a little bit different way this time. Typically, we give you some sectors of momentum stocks and then give you some great momentum stocks within that sector so that you have good momentum stocks in a good momentum sector. And that seems to be a nice way to go. But this time we're going to talk about country momentum and which countries are doing the best. But also, I want you to keep in mind that traditionally momentum works, but it works as a basket of trades. And what I mean by that is it actually doesn't work as often as it works. But when you lose money, you get traded out of it pretty quickly. So you might have a bunch of trades, more than half, that have small losses, but slightly less than half of the time, you're able to identify a bigger momentum trend, and then every once in a while, maybe a smaller fraction, you identify a huge momentum trend. So what you do is you take a couple small losses, but then you're able to participate in bigger gains. And net, that's an upside benefit if, obviously the weighted average returns work out for you. And that's traditionally what happens with momentum. So don't be concerned if you have a couple losses and you get stopped out of some trades. You want to identify big momentum trends. Okay, so we're going to talk about some trends that have been in place for a while. And up on the charts, I have the EFA, which is the international returns. And year to date, we are basically flat. Although you see big sell-off due to the lockdowns, a battle back, and then a more recent upswing to basically being flatlined for the year. And if you compare that to the S&P 500, which I'm going to put on this chart now, the S&P is up 11.9% year to date. And so it's had a much bigger outperformance than the rest of the globe. All right, but let's look at some other countries besides the United States. You have South Korea up 20%, Taiwan 21, you have 18 for Sweden, New Zealand up 12, and the Netherlands looks like it's up 13%. Okay, so I'm going to take the S&P 500 off of this chart, and you can see that here are some good momentum countries within this sector. And this is weighted by a 1 month, a 12-month, and an 18-month momentum. So we've had a nice steady upswing of momentum. Now keep in mind, sometimes there's a reversion to the mean. So let's look at the other side of this equation. So first of all, these countries could continue in nice momentum. And this relative strength, I like to use an analogy with football. So if you don't even know anything about football, if I were to ask you which teams are going to do better this year, the teams that made the playoffs last year or the teams that didn't, which basket of teams? Even a novice would probably say, well, the teams that made the playoffs last year are probably going to be on average better than the teams that made the playoffs that didn't make the playoffs. And that's because could be better coaching, could be better skilled players, could be better cohesiveness. You don't even really need to know why. And that's a relative strength standpoint. Now, at some point, those teams that made the playoffs last year didn't make the playoffs this year, but on average, that group of teams will do better. And the same thing can be said for countries or stocks or sectors that have been doing better relative to other countries, stocks, or sectors. They should probably continue to do better. They won't all, but as a group. So here, these country sectors should probably continue to do better. But here are some that you want to look at for a potential turnaround. And we're going to go in the other direction, and I'm going to take all of these off the list and show you the losers that we've had over the last 12 to 18 months. So we have Brazil, underperformed considerably, Singapore, all of Latin America, which includes Latin America, United Kingdom, and Turkey. So these countries are down 30, 23, 15, 12% year to date. Now, you might want to look for a reversing trend because within the next momentum trend, probably one of these countries will have the next upswing. So you want to see it starting to break some new highs and form a whole new pattern. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to be off to the races, but what I remind you of is what we're trying to do is minimize our losses and then take advantage of long-term upward trends. And that's how momentum can work for you. Okay, so this is Stuart Kruse on Momentum Wednesday, trying to help you and our clients to live your life with the odds in your favor.